Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Gemma and today I'm going to be talking through some of my channel and reading goals, intentions, plans for 2024. So I'm going to call them intentions because they're things I do intend to do, but you know, best laid plans. I'm going to start with some of the reading type plans that I have, and we'll just go through all of the stuff I want to do. So, stuff that is definitely happening. The FOMO book club. So, the FOMO book club is one of my absolute favourite things that I've done since starting BookTube, and I run that book club with Alice from Alice and the Giant Bookshelf and Jack from Spread Book Joy, and we are sort of halfway through our second year now. That's mad. No, we're only one book into our second year, but that still seems mad. And basically we choose books that we think you, everyone, may have missed out on. So they're usually pretty popular books. They're usually backlist books that we just really have the itch to read, you know. And we do one book every 2 months, so it kind of gives people enough breathing space if they need it. And we announced all of the books for this year of FOMO in September. So we started with the November, December book, and we run through to the end of October. Yes. So we've got books planned to the end of October. I will leave that video below for you if you want to check out which books we've got coming up. We're doing Tipping the Velvet over January and February by Sarah Waters. And so, yes, that is continuing. We really enjoy it. There is a Discord for that, and we do a live show on alternating channels at the end of each sort of book 2 months. That was badly phrased, but hopefully you get the gist. But yeah, that will be continuing, so really excited for that. I do also run a book club at work, which is going to continue, and it's supposed to be like a inclusion and diversity book club, so we read books from minority authors basically, and that's really fun as well. So that will also be continuing, so I'll have some of those to talk about in 2024. The other two sort of plans, intentions that I have done videos for are my 10 books from the bucket list, scratch list that I have. So I have one of those big 100 books you must read before you die lists, and I pick 10 from there every year and try and read them. Last year I did appallingly bad and read 4. So we're hoping for a better year in 2024. So I have picked 10 from there. So that's one list. And then I've also picked 24 classics in translation to read in 2024, which is a lot of books. 24 is a lot. And I tried to pick quite a few short ones, but there are a couple of bigger ones on there. One of which I didn't actually realise it was over 1,000 pages until someone asked me if I was reading the abridged version. And I was like, I didn't realise it was that big because it's on my Kindle. And then I looked and I was like, that's a really big book. So yes, reading hopefully 24 classics in translation, but we shall see. Sort of related to both reading and channel plans is book prizes. So if you've been here for a while, you will know I am a massive fan of book prizes. I follow the Women's Prize really quite closely, and the Booker Prize reasonably closely, but probably less closely this year. But let me start with the Women's Prize, because the Women's Prize Plodalong will be back for its second year, and this is a read-along support group for those people who are reading any of the Women's Prize really, and we run it completely through the Women's Prize season, which actually starts a little earlier this year in mid-February, when the Women's Prize for non-fiction long list will be announced, and we will run that right through to the winner announcement in June. And I say we, I'm of course talking about my amazing co-hosts, Alice, again from Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, and Charlie from Charlie Book Reads, and we do live shows where we basically talk to fellow Women's Prize lovers across BookTube about how they're getting on, the books that they've liked, the books that they haven't liked, the books that they're not even going to bother trying, and mildly mock them and make them do ridiculous challenges and pit them against each other over the course of the Women's Prize season. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, then stick around, because there'll be loads of information coming on that as and when it is available, but we will be kicking that off with the non-fiction long list announcement in February. So yay! Other prizes. So I did mention this in my end of the year book tag, if you caught that, but I am going to try and follow the Arthur C. Clarke Award this year, which is an award for sci-fi. And every year I see the long list and the short list, and the books look really good, and then I just never get to them because it sort of clashes with Booker. And this year I'm going to prioritise the Arthur C. Clarke Award over the Booker Prize, because I had a really bad year with the Booker this year. There are still two that I want to read from last year's Booker that I think are probably the two that I would enjoy, which is Prophet Song and The Beesting. So at some point I will get to those. But basically I read a load of the other ones and I really didn't like many of them at all. So yeah, I don't think me and the Booker are great friends. The other one that I would really like to read more from this year is the International Booker. Again, we have a clash though, because that comes out right around the same time as the Women's Prize, so they sort of run at the same time. They clash even worse this year because of the early start for the non-fiction Women's Prize. So yeah, but I would really like to at least read the shortlist for the International Booker if I can. So shortlist for International Booker, shortlist for Arthur C. Clarke, long list for Women's Prize for fiction, and probably a mishmash of the non-fiction. The other prize that I would really like to read some from this year is the Wainwright Prize, which is a non-fiction prize that focuses on books about nature, which I find really fascinating. So yeah, I'm going to try and read a few of those this year as well. That's a lot of prizes. So yeah, I also may get pulled into the Stella Prize, because that was getting some love last year and I didn't read any of those books and I felt like I missed out. So maybe also the Stella. Moving away from prizes, because that isn't all that I cover on my channel. Readathons. So I'm going to be hosting 2 readathons this year, if you don't include Women's Prize. So 2 as well as the Women's Prize, and one is running right now. That's the Past and Future Readathon, which is the brainchild of Emily from Novell Novels, and I co-host that with some fantastic booktubers. There's Alice from the Giant Bookshelf, Jack from Spread Bookjoy, Danny from Danny's Book World, and Charlie Brooke Reads, and they're all just lovely people. And we've got a bingo board, and it's like a super chill readathon, and we've had some sort of read with us evenings over the course of the month. So yeah, obviously I'm doing that again because we're in the middle of it. The other readathon that I'm doing again this year, that ran for the first time last year, is Misery May, which I run with Scott from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. We are united in our love of books that destroy the soul. So yeah, if you also like to be heartbroken and miserable when you read, then you should join us for Misery May. I think we're going to make a few changes to it this year. It's going to be slightly different, but the premise is the same. Basically, we want you crying every day in May. so yes, more to come on that, obviously closer to the time. So that sort of brings me on to other readathons that I don't host or co-host, but that I really enjoy participating in. So this is a list of 4 that I absolutely know that I will participate in 2024. I will participate in others, no doubt, because I get swept up by the hype. But what I would say is probably these are the only ones that I will do solo TBRs for. The others I will sort of incorporate into my standard TBR. But these are the ones that I really love to sort of look at all the books and see what I might possibly read. And those are Middle Grade March, which runs in March and is hosted by Krista at Books and Jams. She's fabulous, great like resource for middle grade literature. Then there's the Asian Readathon, which runs in May, which is run by with Cindy. And yeah, I have so many books by Asian authors on my shelves. It really helps me get to some of them, you know. Then there is Shorty September, which I love, and that is hosted by Sian and Bert at Storytime and Heather at the Soggy Expat Book Nerd. Again, just brilliant creators, and Shorty September has become very quickly one of my favourite readathons of the year, because I do tend to read a lot of chunky books, so I get sort of to that point of the year and I feel like I need a break from the chunks, and so it's really nice to just read loads of short books. So yeah, that one. And of course Non-Fiction November, which is hosted by Oliver at Book Olive, and yeah, it just helps me to prioritise some non-fiction, because otherwise it does tend to slip off my radar. So I'll definitely be participating in those and creating TBRs for those, and then we'll see what else the year brings as we go. Other eventy, ready things that I am taking part in this year, there's the TBR spin. I have done a video which shows you the 12 books that I picked for the spin. That's run by Sarah at Freshly Read Books and Jill at the Book Bully. And yeah, I'm just really excited to participate in it this year. I didn't get around to it last year, so I missed out, and I'm not missing out again. Okay. Then we have the Read Good Challenge. Is that what it's called? Ben at Ben Reads Good has come up with sort of 12 prompts, for the year. So for example, January is January, where you read a book by an Anne. And he has like different ones all through the year. So I'm going to be joining in with that, because I just love Ben so much. And I think that the way that he's done it makes it really easy to incorporate books that you're probably already reading anyway. And then there's 2 read-alongs that I know that I am participating in as we sit here. And that is there's a read-along of The Invisible Man by Ellison. What's his name? Something Ellis. I'll put a picture here. And the lovely Jess at Stalking Kafka is running a read-along for that in February. So yeah, if you want to join, drop Jess a message. I'm sure she would love to have you. So that wasn't on any radar ever. And then Jess sold it to me, and now I'm reading it in February. The other read-along that I'm participating in is somewhat more of a commitment, and that is A Suitable Boy. So, and the author for that is Vikram, Seth, I think. And Lindy at Lindy Magpie Reads and Jolene at Bookworm Adventure Girl are running that, and it's great because it's broken down into lots of short sections. I think it only works out about 70 or so pages a week, so it takes us through to June, and there's like a chat like once a week. It's on Voxer. If you're interested, go and ask Jolene or Lindy to add you to the group. But A Suitable Boy is massive, so I feel like it's a good opportunity, like with a support group, to read that book. So yeah, looking forward to that as well. Speaking of read-alongs, I'm actually going to run a couple this year. I don't know that I did any last year, but me and the lovely Alice at Alice and the Giant Bookshelf are going to do a read-along of the Aeneid by Virgil in August, I think. In the summer, we haven't firmed up the plans yet, but in the summer we're going to do a read-along of that. And I am also tentatively planning to do a read-along of All Quiet on the Western Front in November. So obviously November is Remembrance, so I thought it might be a nice opportunity to read that book with a group of people in November. I don't know. Let me know if you think that's a good idea or not. It's still fluid at this point, but if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then let me know. And so the last thing to talk about is content. What is going to happen with my content over 2024? So I'm not planning on making any drastic changes. I would say I will probably increase the number of solo reviews I do, particularly when it comes to prize books. I tend to do solo reviews for prize books, as well as just generally chatting about them in my wrap-up. So hopefully I encompass all types of viewers in that setup. I'll also continue to do solo reviews for books that I think are just really good or really bad. And I will be continuing my series of Hot or Not, where I review like brand new book releases once a month and let you know if they're worth the effort. So that's going to continue. The sort of standard stuff, the TBRs, wrap-ups, will also continue. I am not really loving tags at the moment, so it's just one of those things. Sometimes I'm really into them and sometimes I'm not. And at the moment I'm on a not, so I haven't really done any tags in a while. So they probably won't feature so much unless it's like a topic that I think is quite juicy. But I will probably just be ramping up prize content. So prediction videos, talking about long lists, talking about short lists, ranking short lists, long lists, predicting short lists and winners. That sort of content I'm probably going to sort of hone in on a bit more this year. If there is any specific type of content that you want to see that you're not getting from me, then obviously let me know in the comments and I can attempt to oblige. The one thing I will not be doing is vlogs because I suck at them and I don't really have the time. I feel like you need to put quite a lot of time into a vlog and I don't have much of that. So yeah, maybe once the kids have moved out, I will attempt to do vlogs, but it's going to be a while. So yeah, I'd love to know, what are your reading plans? I'm not setting myself goals this year. I set myself a nominal goal of 72 books on Goodreads every year, but other than that, I'm not having any like read this many non-fiction, read that many classics. I'm not really doing that this year. But I'd love to know if you are, and what your goals are, and what your intentions are, and the sort of things you're going to be joining in with on BookTube would be lovely to know. So I will leave my 24 classics for 24 here in case you missed it, and I will catch you very soon with another one. Bye guys.